Ladies and gentlemen, this is Duane Fletcher with Fletcher Community Media. Got some new books out. Said I was going to start doing these podcasts more frequently. Battle of Fletcher. This talks about Napoleon's campaign against Russia 200 years ago in correlation to what's going on today with the war in the Baltic states. The Black Hand, this one causing all the controversy. This one just came partially true. Basically, this talks about a tennis player that doubles as an assassin for the KGB. This one looks like it just played out in New York at the New York Open. This is a really good book also. And the Nibblenecks. Talks about two Russian hitmen that came here to Jacksonville. They were subsequently put in jail. This is also a really good book. Okay. Now, the books that I've been writing, they're coming true. And I'm going to keep talking about this because it keeps happening. This one came true not too long ago. This one came true. There you go right there, Fox Hunt. The FBI just raided this place. That was the villain. The villain character in the book basically had a warehouse. And the FBI just basically, and Homeland Security just basically raided this place. That's in the book. Very good book. All the stuff can be found on blurb.com. And of course, this one right here just played out in New York, like I was telling you. Now, two of my books have come true in the last 6 months. But of course, this one right here, people were calling me crazy. They called it a cockamamie conspiracy theory. They called it a cockamamie conspiracy theory, and they were calling me crazy. And but it's coming true. So basically, like the same group of people who were trying to call it crazy, basically had to turn around and go kick the door in at this place, and so the book came true. So I've had two books that come true within the last 6 months. And personally, I think I'm batting 1,000. I don't believe that I'm crazy. I'm extremely confident in what I'm writing and what I'm researching because of events like that happened, like the New York Open of 2023, where everybody got sick. Even though I warned them about all of this stuff, and how I said that though the people that was at this solar panel company here in Jacksonville may or may not be spies, and apparently the feds had to go kick the door in looking for spy equipment and stuff like that. 5 years later, after they got through taking payoffs, whoever it was, whatever dirty cop it was that was taking payoffs for the last 5 years from them, finally they put him on the hot seat, and they eventually had to go raid the place. So that's two books that I had come true in the last 6 months. Now, I'm coming to you today because, and I know I said that, and I said I was going to keep saying it because it keeps happening. And even though it keeps happening, some of you still be scrutinizing what I write. However, I'm coming to you today because there's something else that's going to be true. I haven't written this yet, but it's in my podcast that I've been talking about this. It has to do with the United States Navy having to run off and save Israel instead of putting pressure on Russia to save Serbia, which is what I think that they should have done or should be doing. And there was recently a TV show, and I told you before, I watch a lot of foreign TV, foreign news services. I watch TVP in Poland. That's the news source in Poland that covers the war in Ukraine. And I watch France 24, which covers the war in Ukraine that was going on. And I watch DW News, which is the news service in Germany that covers the war in Ukraine. And they don't, they have real actual footage of what's going on overseas and stuff like that. That's one of the main reasons they interview a lot of the American personnel that's over there helping out, volunteering to help Ukraine. And They do a lot of commentary about what's going on with, and they interview like ex-American generals, ex-British generals that commentate on the war and things like that. And the thing is that one of these guys just did an interview, a news story last night, and he talked about the same exact thing that I was saying. Well, basically, let's see, let me show it to you right here, because maybe y'all might want to, some of y'all might want to watch the show too. Let's see here. Let me look it up here, and I'll show it to you, show you what I'm talking about. But this guy right here is from Poland, and he, let me see, let me get to it here. But he says the same thing. He said basically that there is a need, that there is some danger. There is some danger with sending the troops off and not paying attention to what's going on in Europe. Like it's a deliberate distraction. That there was a deliberate distraction. Okay, let's look at it here. This guy right here, Rock Raccoon from TVP, he has a really good show. And in this segment, he's talking about a brand new article that came out from Foreign Affairs Magazine. And Foreign Affairs Magazine basically talks about that Serbia is basically a boon, which that's what Russia is using it for. And that they had like 5,000 business licenses issued in the last couple of years to Russian citizens. Basically, there's a lot of people from Russia that moved to Serbia, and they're basically using Serbia as what's called a boon. A boon is a surveillance platform, which basically has no other purpose to this other person but to look and monitor other people while pretending to be Serbian or living in Serbia or different things like that. So basically the article talks about it's an in-depth article that talks about how Russia has been using Serbia as a boon. And not only that, but it talks about the correlation of how they've been arguing back and forth with Kosovo and things like that. And I know this is probably some bad timing to some of you because you feel as though everybody should be talking about what's going on in Israel now. But some people think that what's going on in Israel is a distraction deliberately orchestrated by the Russians, because the article also talks about how how, let's see, let me show it here. The article also talks about how Russia has been grooming Serbia to be their second front in Europe, meaning that they can't wait till another war breaks out against, whether it's Serbia versus Bosnia or Serbia versus Kosovo, that the Russians have been grooming Serbia to be a second front in Europe. Now, I know some of y'all watching me on here, but I always show you what I'm talking about. I can pull it up and I can look at other credible news sources that are talking about the same thing as I am. But this came out last night. Basically, this came out last night. I think it was Tuesday night or Wednesday night, something like that. I think it's like Thursday over there already or something like that. But the article just recently came out, and they did a news story about it. And it says that Serbia is basically being groomed by Russia as their second front. So we should be paying attention to this and not be too much distracted by what's going on in the Middle East, because Gaza is a very small place, very, very, very small place. Personally, I think that for us to have two battle groups over there is overkill. Maybe they should break it up. They should. The Gerald R. Ford has a battle group that's off the coast of Israel now, and also the Dwight Eisenhower has a battle group that's off the coast of Israel now, and we've sent submarines and all this kind of stuff like that, and it's stuff that they're putting in the news that they don't normally do, but it's like they want to make a big show of it. So me personally, I think that the Dwight Eisenhower should be off the coast of Croatia to protect Kosovo against Serbia, if need be. If that second European front breaks out, some people think it'll be Poland, some people think it'll be Finland, and but maybe the Dwight Eisenhower should be off the coast of Croatia, and instead of both of them hugged up together, parked off the coast of Israel, two huge American battle groups, two huge American aircraft carriers, and Gaza Strip is like this big, but there's two huge aircraft carriers parked off the coast of Israel, and I think that they should one of them should be at least parked off the coast of Croatia. And I see, now this is another thing I want to bring up, because I started doing research into this. Now apparently, and I want some of you to look this up for yourselves, especially people that's overseas. Look this up for yourselves. It looks like one of the reasons why the violence is so bad against Kosovo is because of who is guarding the place. Okay, now it's in one article I read that they said there's a detachment of Italian troops that are basically supposed to be riot control over there, and they've been being beat up and they've been being shot at by the Serbian gunmen and stuff, and they are not doing enough about it as far as the president of Kosovo is concerned. He feels as though they should be doing more. Not only that, but there is a Hungarian detachment of troops there, also to act as riot control also, or something like that. Now, the Hungarians are very pro-Russian, which means that they're gonna let the Serbian guys riot as much as they want, shoot at the police much as they want, dress up like they do. They're not gonna do nothing about it. So maybe these two groups of soldiers that are supposed to be riot control and things like that overseas, they might need to be replaced. They might need to be replaced by something else, or someone else, or maybe someone more sympathetic to a peace process and not grooming a boom for a second European front. You know what I'm saying? So, but like I said, that's just my opinion. What do I know? And I just read this article about it not too long ago that talked about all of this stuff, and that could possibly be the source of the problem. That the guy who is the president of Kosovo, he does not feel as though they're doing enough to protect him over there, and that might be the reason that he's saying. Now, this article that I read. Let's see if we can find the article that I read here. Or find the notes from the article that I read, rather. Okay, I found it. Oh my God, I found it and lost it at the same time. Okay, found it and lost it at the same time. Okay, now, let's see. It says that there's an Italian regiment, the Carbonari. There's a Carbonari Italian regiment that's in sole charge of the riot for KFOR or NATO forces or something like that. This may not be true. I'm hoping it's not fake news. That's why I said some of you might need to look it up for yourselves. And then also there's a Hungarian troop detachment there, a tactical reserve battalion at Camp Novo or Camp Novosello or something like that. And like I said, I'm hoping this is not fake news, because if this is real, somebody needs to look into it, because basically they are allowing the Serbians to be violent, very, very violent towards Kosovo, threaten Kosovo, shoot the Kosovo police, kidnap the Kosovo police, block the roads to the highway, dress up like NATO forces, K4 NATO forces, and shoot people and stuff like that. And the last time that I checked, Russia got in trouble in Kazakhstan. Russia got in trouble in Kazakhstan for doing that. They dressed up like NATO, and they were shooting people. And the people at NATO cussed them out. They was like, he had confiscated some NATO trucks and some NATO helmets and stuff, and was driving around with the NATO helmet with the blue stripe and and driving in one of their NATO trucks, and he was shooting people, and the people at NATO cussed him. It was like, all right, take my shit off, stop doing that. You're gonna cause big, huge problems. And but the president of Kosovo doesn't feel as though enough is being done, and maybe they need to swap out those regiments. Maybe swap out the Italian regiment with a Romanian regiment, or swap out the Hungarian regiment that's doing riot control over there with a regiment from Lithuania or Latvia or Finland or something. It needs to be circulated and swapped out regularly, because that's what appears as the source of the ridiculous amount of violence that's being levied against Kosovo by Serbia. And so I was right about that, and I want to say shout out to Rock Raccoon. He does a really good TV show from Poland. I watch his show all the time. But that foreign affairs article basically says the same thing that I have been saying. There's a need for, and even though there was a terrorist attack in Kosovo right before the terrorist attack in Israel, nobody did nothing about it. They didn't do anything. They didn't do crap. They didn't send in the aircraft carrier. NATO didn't do anything. And I think that is because of who's doing riot control and who's doing tactical reserve battalions over there and stuff like that. Quite possibly they're sympathetic towards Russia and their communist regime. And that's why they're allowing the Serbians to be so violent. So it's a possibility that those regiments that are doing riot control over there needs to be swapped out for maybe send in some American troops to do riot control and stuff like that. But it needs to be somebody that's more sympathetic towards a peace process, and not somebody that has gone public was telling you that he finna do a bunch of land grabs. Yeah, Russia, they went public and said, hey, I'm finna go fight in Ukraine. I'm finna go fight in Finland. I'm finna go fight in Sweden. I'm finna go fight in Turkey. I'm finna go fight in Romania. I'm finna go fight in Germany. The Russians did this about a year ago, and they basically told everybody straight up he finna wage war in a bunch of different places. And so they probably need to swap out those regiments that are doing riot control over there with people that are more sympathetic towards a peace process, or maybe people that are more sympathetic towards a democracy and not a communist country and stuff like that. And it just seems like it's unfair. And like I said, so maybe at the least, the Dwight Eisenhower and his battle and his battle group, which is about like maybe a dozen ships. It's an aircraft carrier and like 11 other ships, something like that. The battleships, missile frigates, what they call corvettes, the corvette missile frigates and things like that. Marine Corps amphibious assault battalions. But the Dwight Eisenhower and his battle group should be parked off the coast of Croatia, and then if there's a problem where Israel needs to be helped, there needs to be the Gerald Ford and his battle group could be parked off the coast of Israel. But that's not what they're doing, and for some reason they got them both sitting right there side by side, and Gaza's this big. It's very, very small. It's like half the size of New York. It's like 140 square miles, which is like half the size of New York. And so it's overkill. And they're not paying attention. And but some of you are going to say, because this is the first question that came across my mind last night. Somebody going to say, well, of course Poland's going to say that because Russia's been threatening to invade them too. But it's not just Poland that's going to notice this. It's not just Poland that's going to notice what's going on. There's going to be Finland. Okay, well, of course Finland would say something like that because Russia's been threatening to invade them too. Well, of course Turkey's going to say something like that because Russia listed them on their shit list too. Well, of course Romania is going to say something like that because it's not just the TV show in Poland that's going to say something like that. It's going to be a bunch of them that are going to say, hey, there's a second theater in Europe that y'all have completely neglected. And there's threats being made, and they're talking across the table to each other and stuff like that. They're dropping off guns and things like that. But it's not just the TV show in Poland would say something like that. Of course that's how it is with some people, where the first thing that they try and say, well, of course the Polish people would say that because Russia wants to invade them next. It's not just Poland. It's not just Poland. It's not just Ukraine. It's not just Finland, Latvia, Lithuania. Well, of course Sweden would say that, or of course Germany would say that because Russia's been threatening to reinvade them too. It's a bunch of different people that have a problem with what's going on over there, and there's a second front that's been brewing with no oversight, basically. No recent oversight. The last time that they were put in check was back when 1999, when NATO, the American NATO forces had to the European NATO forces had to basically bomb Serbia into submission, and that was the last time there was a big argument, and so hopefully more people stop paying attention to this and stop being. Everybody wants to throw this word anti-Semitism around. Anti-Semitism. But don't cut off your nose despite your face. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what it looks like. It looks like Russia orchestrated this as a distraction from what's going on in Ukraine. And if that's true, our Navy ships could be sailing into a trap. They could be sailing right into a trap. If that's true, like I said, there's new Russian bases in Libya and stuff like that. Come to find out, it's weird what's going on. So, let's see. Okay, I want to talk about this one other thing before I go. I'm gonna make this short and sweet because I got something else to do today. Remember I talked about this guy Igor Makarov. Let's see. Igor Makarov, Jacksonville, Florida. Russian oligarch hiding in Jacksonville, Florida. Okay, so we have a Russian oligarch here that's allegedly hiding in Jacksonville. News4Jax did a story on it. News4Jax did a story on this guy, and that they're saying that he's a Russian billionaire and there's sanctions being levied against him and that he's ducking the sanctions and hiding here in Florida. Some people say that he was neighbors and lived in the same neighborhood with Governor DeSantis for years and years and years. Now, I'm getting some threats, okay, because of what I'm talking about. Now, I haven't written one about this guy yet. I haven't written one concerning this. However, I've taken a bunch of notes on the news stories that's been talked about. There's several news stories about this, Fox News, Channel 4 News. But I've taken a bunch of notes to start writing one, but I haven't written one yet. And the thing is that I'm getting threats from people like what appears to be a certain gas company here in town, where this guy just drove past my front door with this 18-wheeler carrying loads of gas for gate gas and all of this kind of stuff like that. And I feel as though it needs to be something it needs to be said about it, because it's getting to the point where it's law enforcement here is not, they're not enforcing the sanction. And now it's one thing if you don't want to enforce the sanction, but it's another thing when you start condoning threats, because there's other ones of them that's been making threats too. But I've always talked to internal affairs, because they got cops that look the other way constantly for these guys, and they lie for this Russian guy ridiculously here in town. But a gate gas front of my door yesterday afternoon. And I feel as though it was a threat, because the day before it was in front of the bus. He was swerving in front of the city bus back and forth down the street when I was on my way to the library. And the thing is, it needs to be talked about, because these people, what they do, this is what they do, and this is how they flip this information around. So, I talked about how they flip this information around. One of the first things people like this do is they try to flip the information around so that they can take law enforcement from you and try and make it like you're a terrorist, or you've done something bad, or you shouldn't be writing about this, and that you need to be investigated, when in actuality, I'm the one that's sincere. They are not. They're trying to hide some Russian guys that makes propane for them, apparently. I bet you if you dig through that, that's probably what you're going to find. That there's some type of business relationship between the Russian oil company here in town and the Russian oil company here in Jacksonville and Gate Gas or something like that. If you dig through it, that's probably what you're going to find. But they're making threats. And I know. Goddamn well he's did this shit to somebody else before, where he's in an 18-wheeler carrying a load of gas for the gas station, and then he starts swerving in front of your car, or he swerves past your front door and stuff like that. And the thing is that it needs to be talked about, because they're acting like buttholes, and I don't have time for it, so I'm going to address the issue like I always do. Just talk about it, get it off your mind, get it off your chest. It's ridiculous. And I wonder, see, the thing is, like I said, my books are coming true. So you can't call me crazy. I've had 2 books that came true in the last 6 months. 2 books that came true in the last 6 months. Okay? Have you had 2 books that came true in the last 6 months? No. You haven't had. I had Duane Fletcher had 2 books that came true in the last 6 months. You can't psychoanalyze me and call me crazy. You can't. It's absurd, and you need to stop trying. And I wish I knew whatever cop he was talking to that lets him do this kind of stuff and then flip it around, because we will subsequently have to take this person's badge from them and put them in jail. Because that's ridiculously dirty that they're allowing this stuff to go on and stuff like that. So but that's all I had to say today. And thank y'all for listening. And if y'all get a chance to go on blurb.com, Duane Fletcher, blurb.com, and you can get copies of the book. All of this stuff is really, really good, dude. Blurb.com, Duane Fletcher, blurb.com. Okay. So that's all I really had to say today. Thank y'all so much. And hopefully I can get some books. I got a couple of interviews set up. I'm going to do some interviews with some other podcasters and stuff like that, and talk about this one right here coming up, because this just happened just now. And I didn't sensationalize it. The governor sensationalized it when he went on TV talking about smuggling the guy in from the Caribbean and all that kind of stuff like that. So enjoy. Blurb.com, Duane Fletcher, blurb.com.